If you are working late at night in a modern, high-rise office building, and the smart elevator app on your phone automatically summons a car to a floor labeled Sub-Basement 4, do not get in. It doesn't matter if your keycard successfully clears the scanner, or if the digital display outside the doors shows your exact destination. Step away from the shaft and take the concrete fire stairs instead. Because once those heavy steel doors slide shut and the cables drop below the ground level, you aren't just an employee heading home after a long shift. You have entered a closed corporate filing system, and the building is waiting to clear the unallocated overhead. My name is Arthur. For the past 12 years, I've worked as a senior data analyst for a global logistics conglomerate housed in a sleek, 40-story tower downtown. It's a building constructed entirely of polished granite, seamless smoked glass, and automated smart systems designed to optimize energy efficiency by tracking the physical movements of every employee through their corporate badges. I am deeply familiar with the late-night rhythms of that tower, the way the central air conditioning hums like a breathing lung in the empty cubicles, the sharp click of my dress shoes echoing against the marble floors, and the blinding glare of the vending machine lights in the break room at 2 in the morning. I thought I knew every floor, mechanical room, and executive suite in the blueprint. I was wrong. It happened last Thursday night, during a sudden, violent summer thunderstorm that slammed against the upper windows of the tower, making the massive glass panes groan against their steel mounts. It was roughly 2:15 a.m., and I had stayed late to finalize an exhaustive internal audit before the morning board meeting. The rest of my team had long since gone home, leaving my department on the 34th floor entirely vacant. The automated overhead lights had entered power-saving mode, plunging the endless rows of empty cubicles into a deep, geometric landscape of shadow. I packed my laptop into my briefcase, rubbed my burning, bloodshot eyes, and walked out into the central elevator lobby. The polished black stone walls reflected the faint green glow of the emergency exit signs. I reached out and tapped my smartphone against the sleek wall scanner, using the building's proprietary mobile app to request an express elevator down to the parking garage. The app on my screen flickered violently. The standard interface, which usually featured a clean blue corporate logo, suddenly turned a dark, bruised purple. The digital compass on my phone began spinning aimlessly before stabilizing, forcing a single system-level message across the glass. Express transit recalculating. Route diverted to Sub-Basement 4 for architectural auditing. I frowned, a cold spike of anxiety hitting my chest. I looked up at the digital indicator board built into the granite wall above the shaft. The building only had 2 basements, both dedicated entirely to employee parking. There was no Sub-Basement 4 on any directory I had ever seen. Suddenly, a loud, heavy thud echoed from inside the shaft directly in front of me, followed by the smooth, mechanical hum of a car arriving. The digital display blinked, the number transitioning from 34 to a sharp, glowing SB4. The heavy steel doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a pristine, brightly lit interior lined with mirrors. Assuming it was just a software glitch in the building's new energy management update, I reluctantly stepped into the car. The moment my heels touched the metallic flooring, the violent roaring of the thunderstorm outside completely vanished. The sound stopped instantaneously, as if the elevator had been plunged into a vacuum. The air inside the car became dead, pressurized, and impossibly freezing, clinging to my lungs like ice. The doors slid shut behind me, locking with a heavy, distinct click that sounded unusually permanent. I reached out to press the button for the main lobby, but the control panel was entirely dead. The buttons weren't illuminated, and the touch-sensitive glass panel was completely unresponsive to my fingers. The elevator didn't go down. Instead, the car began to move horizontally with a terrifying, grinding screech of metal against metal that vibrated straight through the soles of my shoes. I gripped the handrail, my heart hammering violently against my ribs as the car tilted at a slight, unnatural angle. I pulled out my phone to try and call building security, but the screen was locked out by the corporate transit app. The map interface of the building had been replaced by a raw, geometric wireframe diagram that showed the elevator car moving completely outside the physical boundaries of the tower, sliding down an unmapped vertical shaft that descended miles into the earth beneath the city. A single automated text alert flashed across my phone screen. System alert. Asset migration detected. Employee 8841 has entered unlisted Sector 0. Local contract parameters cannot sustain unallocated overhead. To authorize exit transit, you must clear the data discrepancy. The elevator car came to a sudden, violent halt that threw me against the mirrored wall. The heavy steel doors slid open, but they didn't open to the parking garage. They opened into a vast, endless warehouse that stretched out into the darkness as far as the eye could see. The space was lined with towering iron industrial shelves that reached all the way to a ceiling hidden in thick black shadow. Resting on those shelves weren't boxes or files. They were identical, pale gray mannequins, each one dressed in a tattered corporate uniform, their featureless plastic faces turned completely toward the elevator doors. Standing directly in the center of the dark corridor outside the car was the nighttime facility manager. He was an impossibly tall, thin figure wearing a high-visibility security vest over a dark uniform. His posture was completely rigid, his arms hanging limply at his sides. He was wearing a hard hat pulled low over his forehead, casting a deep, absolute shadow across his face. As he slowly stepped into the faint light of the elevator car, I realized he had no eyes, no nose, no hair. His face was a smooth, unbroken oval of gray skin, except for a wide, horizontal tear across his lower jaw that was stretched into a wet, toothless grin. In his right hand, he was holding a heavy, leather-bound corporate logbook. In his left, a glowing smartphone. It was my phone. He was actively running the building's administrative software. From the dark, empty warehouse aisles behind him, a low, multi-layered voice broke through the silence. It didn't sound human. It sounded like the grinding of heavy gears, the humming of massive computer servers, and the clicking of thousands of keyboards, all whispering in flat, mechanical unison. The inventory must balance, Arthur. Sign the registry, or your physical mass becomes the new structural support. I looked down at the phone, still in my own hand, as the battery life rapidly drained from 90% down to 0 in a single second, zapped by the extreme, unnatural cold radiating from the open shaft. Before the glass went completely dark, the app typed out a final, automated log entry across the black interface. Transaction pending. Human capital designated as primary liquidity. Thank you for working late. Before I could even draw a breath to scream, the fluorescent lights inside the elevator car violently shattered, plunging me into absolute, suffocating darkness. And through the heavy silence, I heard the slow, rhythmic click, click, click of long, unbent fingernails tapping methodically against the metal doors, moving steadily inward toward where I stood, trapped against the mirror. Double tap if your blood just ran cold. Share this video to scare a friend who always works late at the office, and hit that follow button right now so you never miss another late-night nightmare.